as an FCPA, you know that closing and opening balances ought to tie. It is your responsibility to explain to the Senate how the 1.3 billion came to be. In your written response, you've done prose. You've just written composition. Unless there is clarity on the process that was followed, obviously the Treasury has already told us your responsibility with respect to recognition of liabilities. That was not done properly. If you do not provide a proper explanation, we shall take home the conclusion that 1.3 billion was manufactured. So, Governor, the auditors cannot go back to do an investigation. I think it is for you to explain to this committee the processes, because a lot of numbers, you've given a lot of numbers, 5.6 billion from assumption of office, 300 million from the auditors, 1.7 billion from your own internal analysis. How did these 1.3 then, how are they exhumed and made payable? Because, or are they additions for the year? Auditor General, we need to be clear. Yeah. Is the 1.3 additions for the year, or those are historical liabilities? Let's make that, let's have that distinction.
Thank you, Chair. The 1.3 relates to an historical liability.
So they are historical, because if there are additions for the year, then we shouldn't have a problem. So how did you exhume 1.3 billion worth of pending bills and recognize them as payable? I think that's the question that you must answer, and not the Auditor General.
Yeah.
Senator Umbua.
Chair, listening to the Governor, I'm left wondering whether then he is disputing this figure. He's saying that he doesn't know about this figure, because even in his responses, he actually doesn't even make an attempt to try and give a breakdown of that figure of 1.3 billion. It's just a statement that he gives. So, Governor, are you disputing that? Are you saying that that figure does not belong to you? It is the work of the Office of the Auditor General?
Can we consolidate the question so that we are a bit efficient? Senator Cherargei?
Yeah, I find the Governor's management response, although you have called it composition, confusing, because in one aspect he says there was issue of reconciliation challenges, incomplete supporting documentation, limitation associated with cash basis reporting. Then on the second paragraph he said, upon subsequent verification, reconciliation, and confirmation of outstanding obligations, then they settle valid liabilities. So, Governor, if you are disputing 1.3 billion as being manufactured, or let me not use the word manufacture, it doesn't sit well with you, or being cooked, the 1.3 you are talking about, what was the justification in your second paragraph? That would be question number one. Number two, Governor, through the chair, looking at under 1 year on this 1.3 billion that has been cooked, it's 38%. Looking at over 3 years, it's 1.7 billion, 48%. Looking at aging analysis in note number 17, and it is good you are an FCPA, you have accumulated 52% of the pending bill of 3.5 billion. There is an exponential growth under 1 year of 38%. That is the one we are talking about, 1.3 billion. So in this 1.3 billion, that is, let me look your years that you have been in office between 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years, and 1.5 years. This is 52% of 3.5 billion. This exponential growth makes us believe that this account payables trade and other payables was cooked. Number three, and finally, you have said verification. What was, and you have the people who had LSO and other justifiable that was not captured, and you are an FCPA, you know, non-disclosure of such in your financial statement is grave. So when you say verification, did you gazette a verification committee? Is there a report that that committee went through the chair? Is there a committee that sat? And where is that report that can attach to verification in terms of this 1.3 billion? And I want to agree with Senator Wabua that even in response of governor, he has not attached to break down to show that 1.3 billion chair. Unless what the governor is requesting, in conclusion, that will be my final question, is a forensic audit with a view of prosecution. Because if he's demanding an audit, it should be forensic. Because if it is cooked, then that 1.3 billion under 1 year is very serious. So, Chair, that will be my 3 questions.
So I think Senator Cherargei has done a comprehensive analysis of Note 17, which has the aging as well, but we might lose the point on the 1.3, the additional liabilities that were undisclosed. So Governor, maybe just start by restricting yourself to the 1.3. We have no visibility in your response on the process that you undertook to certify the 1.3. I think that is what is missing. That is what you didn't explain. Give us that explanation so that we can expunge the impression of manufacturing from our minds. Just start with the 1.3 billion. Run us through that process.
Chair, the list of, is this part of the documentation? Where is it? Yes, in the financial statement. The list of the 1.3 is part of the financial statements, and it's listed item by item. Item by item. This is, and it shows what it is. It is not in Note 17. So, and
No, Note 17 is a summary. Note 17 is just the aging, your summarized reporting.
in the financial statements.
You see, Governor, just to help you, in the cash basis reporting, you used to attach the list of pending bills. When we went to accrual, we stopped attaching it. So I think your officers should guide you properly. Note 17 is a summary, is a summation, which also has a problem because the aging of staff payables has not been done, and we'll be coming to that. Okay, proceed.
Chair, and we can provide the listing of what makes up the 1.3. I've just been given here. So I don't know whether the auditor has that, of what has the 1.3. And I want to put it on record that none of this is fictitious because they are itemized. It says what it is, and mostly it's actually developmental. It's largely construction and ECD classrooms, toilets, wherever. And these are things that can be verified. So, and I am not...
Would you like to just help us understand the process? Because in prior year, you disowned them, the 1.3. And in this year, you are saying, okay, we shall pay. It's the process that I think we could start with, because the details of the listing really is your purview as a CEO.
Now, the process is, let me spread this, I mean, because there's also the question of the current one that Senator Cherargei raised. With respect to an historical, let me put that into perspective, historical pending bills, because of the situation of the record keeping and that nothing agreed to nothing, we decided that we'll take all those reports, isolate what is verifiable, and only pay what is verified. When we go and see this classroom was indeed done in that period between 18 to 22, but it was not paid, this is what we pay. You know,
Chair, on a matter of procedure, I wish when the governor is reading, we are on the same page. So we are just listening to him. Is there a document so that we can...
Okay. Governor, if there is a document or an annexure we can refer to, you can point us.
I thought I started by saying we have the list, and the auditor also verified that he has the list of the 1.3, and we can provide that.
Do we have it anywhere here?
We have it.
It's not in the annexure of the financial statement, because the report we are doing is...
No, Governor. Under accrual, you guys didn't attach that list. You used to attach it under cash. So it's not there. What's there, Note 17 is a summation. And I think it's fair, if it's not here, just to say that you shall provide it, so that we it's not protracted.
Chair, I've just seen from
Chair.
I've just seen in our WhatsApp page an Excel document has been shared by the auditor containing the list of 1.3.
No, honourable members,
up?
let's not refer to all those extraneous things. Governor, the major concern, even before we come to the composition,
I was explaining the process.
is the process.
I was explaining
Yes,
the process.
Please.
With respect to the historical pending bills, because of the situation of incomplete records that we inherited, and all these attempts by the Auditor General, by the Assumption Office Committee, and by the independent consultant that we hired, we brought together everything that they said, because each of them was also coming with a lot of caveats to say we were unable to whatever. And in some of those years, if you go back, there are actually disclaimers on the audit opinion. So what we then decided to do is to deal, because it was both ways. There were people who were claiming things that weren't done, and there were things that were done which were not in any report. So we decided, and we made this public, that we will pay what is verifiable. And the list of the 1.3 is what we've paid that is verifiable. The auditor has said he has. If seller doesn't have, we are willing to provide. And I'm even willing further to say if there is any of that that is believed to be manufactured, it will be subjected to further audit process to ensure
sorry, Governor.
Because for us, we paid what we verified.
Just for clarification,
Yeah.
you've made a statement that we must understand properly.
Yeah.
Is a 1.3 billion paid or payable?
Payable.
Because you say paid.
Payable.
Yeah.
Payable.
And again,
Yeah.
our problem is not even in the payment. Our problem is lack of recognition in prior year, and then all of a sudden you have a 1.3 billion bill.
I think
I don't know whether we have understood the process as explained by the
I have
governor.
gotten even further confused
Senator Sifuna?
because the governor is saying, I don't know when that process began, Governor. When did the process of looking? You basically went out to hunt for bills because you're saying you got into office, there are no records. Then you make an announcement that we are looking for people who we might owe money. Is that the story? When did that process begin?
And Senator, let me explain what happened.
Start with when the process began. Which year?
It began immediately we came into office, but it took quite some time.
That's 2022.
2022. Right?
Yes.
So what we did is we first took what is available. We looked at the financials. What was disclosed in the financials?
So just there,
Yeah.
there is where you are losing me,
Yes.
Governor.
Yes.
So there was something
Yes.
in the financials.
Yes.
How come the auditor is saying there was no such thing? Because in the prior years we should have seen some amounts, but we have a situation where from 2022 up to now, out of nowhere, we are hit with 1.3 billion.
No, I think that we do not
that
agree
the
with
case,
contention.
Yeah, that's the
That's what we
case.
don't agree with.
No, that's what is before us, Governor. We are able to interpret the report of the Auditor General and also your financial statements.
And Chair, let me put this in this way and allow me time to explain this process. Number one, there was
How
a
much time
figure.
do we have to explain all these things? Really?
Okay.
Surely.
Did you want
Because,
to
Chair,
make an interjection?
yes, I want to.
Okay, let's take the question from
Because,
Senator Wangua
Chair,
so that you factored it in your explanation.
First of all, and the governor surely must know this better than me, better than all of us. He is an accomplished accountant. If a disclosure has not been made, and it forms the basis of an audit query, as a responsible government, as an accountant, the thing that you do is to provide detailed explanation in terms of financials, not pros, not saying this is what we are doing, this is what we did. Now, I hear the governor and the office of the Auditor General are talking about a document that is supposed to explain this query, which document we don't have. Yeah. How are we supposed to process that query?
Chair, just so
Senator
that
Cherargei?
Governor can come clean. I have heard him alluding that when they came to office, they assessed these trade payables and it is historical. But when you look at aging analysis, there is an over 3 years, which I believe is historical of 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
So he's confusing us further by saying he's referring to historical, yet we have 1.7 already. Yet under this, under 1 year is 1.3 billion. So, Chair, you know, the governor should assist us by being very clear in this between 1.7 and 1.3, because that breakdown, we want to arrive at 1.3 billion so that we remove the assertion that it was manufactured. And Chair, when you look even at the schedule, I don't know what you people drink in Wajir. He was spending in food and drinks of 6.5 million. For me, it looks like they were going to fish and telling hotel how much did we drink. Tulukunywa chai na mandazi, nini 6.5. If you look at that schedule, it looks, it had been, they went hunting as what Senator Sifuna for these bills. If you look at the schedule.
So in the, Governor, in the absence of a detailed explanation, the senators are not wrong to speculate. And so let's give the governor an opportunity to explain. If there is need for documentary evidence to support his explanation, we can give those directions. But we are all interested in finding out how 1.3 billion just dropped from the skies. Was it some pensions that hadn't been paid or some gratuities that, you know, all of a sudden came to your attention? Please help us understand that.
Chair, I think we're mixing issues here. So let me first of all separate two things, because Senator Cherargei has also talked about bills of less than 1 year. Matters of less than 1 year have to do with cut-off issues. We are in June now, for instance. We have incurred commitments. We have not received the money for May and June. Even if we receive it before midnight of 30th of June, chances are that by the time the system is closed, some of that money will not have been utilized. So those are just timing issues from 1 year to the other with respect to the payables that are within the 1 year.
And I don't think we don't have a problem with that.
What I'm trying to address,
let's deal with the 1.3.
Is 1.3, which is under the note on the accounts payable, and which the auditor has clarified he has the listings, the detailed listings that add to that 1.3. And we're saying those are the historical, verified, physical structures which we decided to pay on account of the incompleteness of the record that we inherited. And that the records were incomplete.
Okay, let's give him 1 minute to finish.
Because
that schedule.
Can I just finish,
Just a
Senator,
minute,
please?
Governor. Because
I might lose my thought.
we want to follow what you're saying. On
Okay,
that
Governor,
schedule,
just
which has
give it a moment.
That schedule that has been shared,
Yes.
does it have a column for us to understand when these invoices were incurred? Is there a column to show us that this is from 2021 or 2022?
It has. Yes, it has.
Which column is that? Because the one that has, I'm using Cherargei is a very expensive phone, Chair.
Because I'm the government, so you can imagine.
No,
If I break it.
I know the county can disown anything that is coming from Cherargei's gadget, so you'd rather use your own phone.
If I use my own phone, they will accuse me of being manufacturing. So, Governor, which column here shows me when these bills were actually incurred, so that I know it is historical? Because the dates I'm seeing is there's a column there that says just 1 minute payment date, and Honorable Chair, they are all from 2024, 2025. So that when you tell us it's historical,
Senator, you have raised a very valid and important point, but let's not lose the question on process, on who is it who decided that this 1.3 billion should. Yes, because, you know, on the face of it, as I said, that's $10 million, 1.3 billion. So we need to allay that fear. So Governor, I don't know, you are not very detailed on the process. Is it your finance officer who said, Governor, all of a sudden we've got this 1.3 billion, let's pay? Was it a task force? Was it internal audit? Was it Auditor General? And obviously, Auditor General cannot be part of that.
Yeah.
So what was the process? What was the decision-making process to recognize the 1.3 billion as payables?
It was a multi-departmental committee that now had to receive all the reports. And every department again was told, can you then physically go and check what in every locality is a physical item that has not been paid or is being claimed. They went with the report physically.
Chair, you'll accuse me of being impatient, but anybody would get impatient with this, honestly, because if it's a committee, then that was said. You know, I'm saying this issue, even a memo that sets up that committee and say, you know, the governor, because this is a very material audit query. You should have come here and told us, on this date, the departments were told to have a multi-agency, whatever, meeting to forward the claims in their departments with any documentation that's available. And after that, this is what the meeting followed, this is what we got. The minutes of the meetings, finally, it was decided from this department, 5 million. From this department, 20 million. From this department, 30 million. Cumulatively, 1.3 billion. That's what we did. Oh. Chair, anything short of that is just stories.
So let's, maybe we have different ways of contextualizing things.
Chair,
but Governor, Senator Lelegwe has a query which might be beneficial so that you can consolidate everything.
Just when I go through the Excel sheet provided to the auditor, there is a more suspicious figure of a repeated 60 entries of an amount of 1,399,000 amounting to 83 million. A similar figure for 60 entries.
And that's a risk of looking at reports that have not been tabled under oath.
Yeah. That amounts to about 83.9 million.
Governor, can I help you? Can you go back to the process,
Chair,
before you go to the content?
Let me, I think here the problem is that I'm not even being allowed to say what I want to say up to the end.
I have given you the floor.
Chair, I have said, with respect to the historical, and by the way, we provided even the report of the consultants to the auditor and to Senate, and we'll bring the evidence that we actually sent all those reports to Senate when all those reports were done. Every single report that was done, we provided to Senate, we provided to EACC, we provided to the Controller of Budget, and we'll send to this committee all the forwarding letters and the proof that they were received in the Senate. Because of the situation we were in, and we were under a lot of pressure from the public to pay pending bills, we had to go for what was verifiable. Senator Lelegwe, it's not unusual to find one figure if you're doing the same things. For instance, if it's one classroom, chances are that the classroom will be awarded for the same amount across. If it's toilets, probably the same amount across. And this is what I'm saying. Because this is a note, and there's a listing attached to it, we interrogate that listing, and we physically verify those. We physically verify when they were done. I have no problem with that. And I think that's what I would have expected the auditors to do. But as to why we were bringing it in, because nothing agreed. The figure that was brought forward in the financials even if it's through a memorandum record recognized payable, did not agree with the investigation report by the by the Auditor General on pending payables, did not agree with the assumption of reports office, and did not agree with what the consultant did. And it was, Chair, I'll give you an example. In the assumption of office report, there was 600 million, I can't remember the exact figure, relating to things of physical nature which were not physically on the ground, including boreholes, including classrooms, including fencing of hospitals, but which the committee of the consultants working with the one that we established, because they still had to work with our people to go around, could not actually See, there are villages we went to where we were told there were classrooms, and you go to that village and you find the kids are in and under trees. Yet the assumption of report said there were classrooms in there. And this is why we decided we'll only pay what was verified. So this is the situation. And I remember, Chair, we had these conversations about Wajir pending bills in the first committee of PAC. So this is what I'm dealing with. As to what is current, Chair, there is no problem. It's just a timing issue. Whatever we carry forward, because sometimes it's also multi-year projects, which is not paid by 30th of June, when we get our money and the system opens, we pay. And we track our commitments. I'll give you an example, Chair. One of the things we are struggling with is to pay statutory payables carried forward, which was not done for 25 months within that period. We have paid our statutory reductions every single month under the current regime. But when you're left with 9 billion, 7 billion, 6 billion pending bills left, right, and center, even my entire development budget, after I paid salaries, cannot cover that in 5 years. And this is why there's a conversation between Senate and National Treasury on those, for instance, statutory liabilities. Because statutory liabilities is very easy to verify. There can be no fictitious statutory liabilities. People deducted people's money and never remitted for 25 months. I have no way of making that up unless all I'll be doing is to pay what was left by the past regime and I don't provide services. This is the situation.
Governor, I have a separate query on statutory remittances of 732 million. We'll deal with it because it's a big thing that applies to all counties. We cannot leave the 1.3 billion until we are sure of the process. And I thought that you're going to tell us that there are minutes, there are reports which can be provided. Because
we will provide all the minutes, all the constitution of the committees, all the reports of every team that looked into the payables.
The problem is this. When we sat at the first meeting, when you came back to office, the issue of ghost pending bills was big. In fact, many of us here sat through the impeachment proceedings of the former governor of Wajir. And many of the allegations were to do with pending bills and financial impropriety, interest management, etc. We have that background. And what we have expected you to do in your administration is to write down, to verify and get rid of fake bills progressively. So 2022, 2023, you had a huge stock. I don't know whether it was 5 billion or 7 billion, whatever it was. 2023, 2024, your accountants certified a figure as being the accounts payables. Then 2024, 2025, the same accountants and heads of departments tell you, sorry, to Achane na ile last year we have 1.3 billion more to pay. That is where the problem is. If in 2023, 2024, the roads department said that their pending bills were 500 million, and then it was certified and the CPAs put their signatures on this report, how do they come again next year and tell you, no, it wasn't 500, it is now 800? You see, that's the problem. That's the problem. And if it's done through internal mechanisms, it can result in rigging of bills. It can result in manufacturing of bills. So we need to get clarity on that process. All of us here sometimes get petitions from members of the public. Our bills are not being paid. But our position is clear. If the bill is verified and the county government has agreed to it, it should be paid. It is fairly unusual to see a growth in historical pending bills. The general trend is a reduction because you are doing verification and you are dismissing those things that you are talking about that were said to be on the ground and yet they were not there. So that is why we have spent a little bit of time here, because it is an unusual trend where it is going up. And I know that in our first conversation, you were concerned that it was too high. So I don't know how it hit, the curve started going up rather than going down.
Chair, I fully agree with you, but it depends on what you started from. If you are starting from the assumption of office report, and what we have verified as payable is 1.3, it still come down. It's just that the financial statements of the auditor did not fully capture all the pending payables, number one. The assumption of office report, on the other hand...
Sorry again, Governor.
Yeah.
You refer to a report of the auditor?
The inherited financial statements had a much lower number than what was being claimed.
That's 21-22.
21-22.
21-22.
Yes. And the process took quite some time, you know, to get a final report.
So 22-23, you disclosed the liabilities went up.
The liabilities went up. Went up.
Okay.
But still much lower than what was in the assumption of office report. So we, in a sense, picked all those reports and just picked what was of physical nature and decided to constitute those as what is payable. Frankly, that's what it is, basically. Because what was being demanded was much higher. And it cut both ways. I gave you the example of the 600 million of things that are of verifiable nature, which were in the assumption of office report, but which are not on the ground. But also, even within Wajir town, there were offices, for instance, constructed for departments, which the suppliers were coming to knock on my door to say, ofisi yangu inatumika, na sijalipwa, but was not in any report.
Okay.
We had polytechnics that were in use, but were not in any report. So we had to work both ways.
Fine. Governor,
and that's why we decided to
I
stick.
think you have emphasized it.
Yeah.
You have emphasized it. Senator Ogua, you are a professional scribe. How would you summarize this conversation?
I think, Chair, I would just simply say Kizungu mingi.
What would be the headline?
A lot of English. Just a lot of English. You know why, Chair?
And he used to work
You
with
know,
standard.
even just what Senator Cherargei has mentioned there, on the 1.3 million, 60 entries. 60 entries of 1.3 million. You know, what would I expect the governor to do is not to give us a theory. Just to say that 1.3 million,
Where the 60,
the 60 entries is a classroom or toilets or whatever it is. I mean, Chair, I also went to school in the US. And at some point when things get a little muddled up, we will say it is what it is. That's where I'll leave it.
Chair, can I propose
Senator Cherargei?
even as you direct the governor to provide further information, we must be specific. I think that is what Senator Wambua said. So that when you say access roads, is it in Wajir North, Wajir South, is it in Wajir Town or Elders? And also, I've seen one interesting medical insurance of 322.1 million. What it attached to? Which are these companies? Was it for the staff? Chair, the issue of gifts, food and drinks of 6.5 million to some grand oases. The entries, 6.5 million on food and drinks and gifts.
No, I think, Chair, that's not in the list of the 1.3. That's not in the list of the 1.3.
Order, Governor.
Yeah.
You might want to ask what is reading before
Okay, yeah, please.
you dismiss.
Yeah.
This is the schedule you just provided. Governor, are you running away from your documents again? Are you running
Is
away?
that 1.3?
So that we know how to deal with it.
That is a schedule that was
That
provided
is
to the
the
auditor.
schedule that was even
and,
provided by the
circulated.
auditor.
Okay, I'm just confirming.
Yes, it
Okay,
is
Senator, go ahead,
entries,
go ahead.
yes.
Go ahead, Senator, go ahead.
I can confirm that it is the same on this opposition phone. The same as the one.
But your phone looks cheap. So
Can we try Mwaruma's phone?
Let's try more.
See whether the results will be the same.
That's a techno.
But Chair, there's a question the governor
That's a
didn't
techno
answer.
one.
There's a question the governor didn't answer.
Yes, Senator
On
Sifuna.
that same schedule. Now he wants to run away from his schedule, but Governor, you needed to answer whether on that schedule you provided, I can tell which date that amount was incurred. Is there a column that refers to any time?
Senator, there's through the chair, there's a column for the financial year.
Where is that?
It says,
Which column is that?
It doesn't refer, it's just about payment date.
It's his document. You know, if you read yours, he will run away from it. Let him read his own document.
and there is a date that there's a column that says payment date.
Yes, that is the only one that has dates, Governor.
Payment date.
Yes.
So those are actual settlements,
Yeah.
not liabilities.
So how do you know, Governor, that this is a historical thing because you said you started in 2022? If you just went with that first one there, advertising, awareness and publicity campaigns, it says 2024, 2025. Is that when it was incurred?
You know, the dot shown here is the payment date because, I mean, is the date in which it was incurred, not the payment date. But
So, Governor,
because
you
this was
agree with me then
2024,
that this is not historical debt?
Actually,
These are largely historical.
this is a payments list. That's why I asked the question whether this is a list of invoices paid or payable. But it appears they are paid because there's a payment date, the 1.3.
You know, Chair, at the time of the audit, it was payable, but now it's been paid. You know, because the audit itself happened. We're talking of 2024,
So the 1.3
If these were
billion,
verified, they were
the
paid by now.
1.3 billion
Yeah.
that was exhumed
Yes.
has been paid fully.
partly paid.
But this schedule totals to 1.3.
Yes, partly paid, because every year we provide an amount for pending bills and then tick off from this list. So we can reconcile to say what has been paid and what's not
Just
been paid.
Governor, for clarity,
Again, Judge,
for clarity.
Cherargei, just 1 minute, because on that point.
As of
Then
today,
if it is-
partly paid.
If it is partly paid, then again, Governor, the easiest thing would have been for you to tell us, these are already paid and these are not paid.
But my question has not been answered.
Right.
You have provided me a document that cannot help me understand that process that you spoke about. I should be able to know that first item there, instead of telling me you've paid it or when you paid it, when was it incurred is more important in the conversation we were having, because you say these things are historical. And Governor, you know, you are a CPA, I'm a lawyer. The word historical should mean the same to both of us.
Yes.
Yeah, so the documents that you should provide is to show us, for instance, you talked about classrooms that had been built that have not been paid for. You should say, this classroom at this place was built in 2019 and it has never been paid for. We are paying for it in 2022, 2023. That's what I expect from a CPA.
Senator, I hear you and I agree. We have provided this to the auditors and all this was provided. But, Chair, I am okay to go back to this and give further data on when incurred, whether paid, whether not paid, and
the process.
And the process.
And the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we will not be unfair
Yeah.
if we reach the conclusion that these are manufactured in the absence of clarity on the process.
Chair, to me,
Senator
this schedule says the wording there, payment date. To me, this 1.3 billion has been paid as per this schedule, unless the governor would want to withdraw this document. Because it says payment date. So the English I know is that, the English I know of a lawyer, of a church elder, or a bishop like my brother here, is payment date has been 1.3 billion. So, Governor, are you withdrawing your own document to get us a better document? Because you have now introduced another angle, it is partly paid. Because we don't want to imagine that this was a payment error, the payment of error. Because looking at most of these issues, there is no specificity. Somebody from Wajir, wherever they come from, Wajir North or South, or even Wajir County, if I tell them county has paid money for access roads to this amount, Where do they attach? Because I'm happy you said you did a social audit. You send people on the ground. So when you say access roads, which road from point A to B that was done with how much, how many kilometers, all those, Chair, if they are missing, I might want to associate yourself on the issue of either manufacturing or cooking, whichever you want to go home with.
No, Senator Cherargei, you are doing very well until you get there.
Order, Governor.
Chair.
You are not.
Chair.
Governor, order.
You are not in charge of
Order.
this meeting.
Order. We were doing very well until Governor took the microphone.
Correct. And
So,
my advice, he should switch off his microphone. It is safer not to talk.
okay. Members, we have done very well so far, so let's not lose it. I think let's round up this matter so that we are clear on what we expect from the governor, and then we can deal with other issues. Senator Lelegwe.
Chair, I disagree with the governor's response in my query when I asked him about the 1.399 million figure. You said it is a classroom, and when you build a classroom in Wajir, there is a possibility that you will have the same figure. But now, if you see the list of those people that have been paid, or the companies that have been paid, are 60 different companies. So how can 60 different people quote the same figure, 1,399,400, 60 times?
And again, to add on that, the cost of doing a classroom, the farthest end of Wajir cannot be the same cost of doing a classroom in Wajir town.
You see, members, we are querying this schedule and giving the impression or assumption that the process was okay. If the process was not proper, then even the discussion on the contents of that list stands on very shaky ground. So we must first establish that process.
Yeah, to help answer Senator Lelegwe's question, Senator Lelegwe, first of all, you have to appreciate that these were awarded by the previous regime. So if they decided they are going to award every classroom for 1.399, regardless of where it is, but for me, I have decided to pay the classroom because it's verifiable. I just have to live with that. And it was not unusual for them to use one number for all dispensaries, one number for all classrooms. And there are places where we even questioned and said, yeah, this thing is physically verifiable, but the amount being quoted does not really make sense. So the ones that we thought the cost was reasonable in light of the scenario we were facing are the ones that we decided to include in what is payable. So it was usual in that regime to say 10 dispensaries, each at 3.8. As you say, the procurement process, if done objectively, should have had certain differences. But here you are. You have the classroom, you are seeing it. And by the way, in certain cases, Senator, for you to understand this, there are cases where the public have threatened to close the classroom. There are others where they've gone to court and the court asked us to pay. And this is why I want to improve that list with a lot more details, not to disown it, as Senator Cherargei says, but provide more details as to those things. Yeah.
Okay, Senator Sifuna, hopefully you are giving us a way forward.
Before we depart from that note 17, I'm just wondering if there's another audit query there. But Governor, what is that item number 2 there? Or under use of goods? Yeah. Yeah, what is that? At note 17 of the financials.
That ought to be property, plant, and equipment.
No, I think I want him to tell us, Chair.
Yeah,
Because
Governor?
you know we have discovered that words mean differently to different people.
Yeah, Governor? Actually, why can't it be? What was that thing used during COVID?
That's why I want him to be the one to say it, Chair.
Yeah, so I withdraw my definition. Let's get the governor's definition of that PPE.
Note 17.
Governor, you are the CEO, and you had the notes before you. I just want to know what it means. The financials. Not the financials. It's on page 26, officer. There's an item there for 2,179,000,000. Yes. What is that second item on the column there? It's page 26, note number 17. Nobody knows what this is.
So I think that PPE, Senator, is property, plant and equipment. So it's 2.179 billion.
How is it? It wasn't in the previous statement. Previous year's financials.
This is the first year of a whole account. Previously, we were cash.
Just use the mic, please.
And Senator, because in the previous year, there was a need to put this in the financials in that sense because we were on cash basis accounting.
Okay. No, that's not the answer, Governor. That figure is part of the 1.3 that the auditor is querying. That was not there in prior year. So
That is why,
the
Chair,
explanation is only half of it.
I thought that they could be related, those two.
Auditor General?
Thank you, Chair. The reporting template for the 2024-2025 and allowed the first-time adopters of the accrual to take some advantage. But they are also,
Auditor, go straight to the issue.
yeah, that's why I'm saying
The 2.17 billion that Senator Sifuna is saying was zero prior year.
so there
Is it part of the 1.3 that
No,
you're saying was not,
it is not.
disclosed?
It is not.
Okay, so where is it coming from?
It is not for the I think for the bring the
Chair,
And Auditor, remember you are not the preparer of this financial statement, so you can just comment on
I wanted to
matters of
assist the
standards,
understanding. I wanted to assist
yeah,
the understanding.
rather than the completeness of numbers.
Chair, the 1.3 actually, because that note on payables is everything, whether historical or recurrent. So the 1.3 is indeed part of that.
Yeah, so Auditor, I think let's leave it there because we'll start contradicting ourselves. So it's part of that 1.3 that the auditor said was not disclosed. And Senator Sifuna, you asked whether there were other audit queries on that note. Indeed, there is one. Let's go straight to it. Then we will give general recommendations on trade payables and remitted statutory and employee benefit deductions.
Chair, maybe with your indulgence, you didn't give direction on 1.3 billion.
No,
Because,
since it's all part of note 17,
Yes.
we look at the statutory deductions.
Then you rule on the same.
Then we give a global advice. Auditor General, you could read your finding on pension, statutory and employees benefits deductions, a figure of 732 million, which is included in note 17. It's under the report on lawfulness, and in the original certificate, it's issue number 6, unremitted statutory and employee benefit deductions. And if you go back to note 17, you'll see the social security benefits and employee payables.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Unremitted statutory and employees' benefits deductions. The statement of financial position reflects trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 3,586,633,121, and as disclosed in note 17 to the financial statement, including the balance is an amount of Kenya shillings 732,615,329 in respect of unremitted statutory deductions to the National Social Security Fund and employees' contribution to local authorities, pension trusts, and local authorities' provident fund, some dating back to 2014-2015 financial year as detailed below. So you have the table there. This was contrary to section 19.
Harry, it's important just to read the components and the amounts.
Okay.
It's not too long.
Okay, you have the component and the amount. First, the component is basic salary, civil service. This is, I think it belongs to SACCOS of 75,778,665. Then you have employer contribution to staff pension scheme of 535,904,297. Then we have employer contributions to National Social Security Fund of 7,650,480. Then we have graduate civil servants, 113,281,987. Thank you, Chair. This was contrary to Section 19, Subsection 4 of Parliamentary Act Cap 226, which states that an employer who deducts an amount from an employee's remuneration shall pay the amount so deducted in accordance with the term period and other requirements specified in the law, agreement, court order, or arbitration as the case may be. Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Chair, the county government.
Just because we have jumped a few issues, just point us to the page where you're reading your response from.
Page 23, 24.
Page 23.
24.
24 or 23? Okay, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Different pages. Mr. Chairman, the county government encountered disagreements with the pension schemes regarding interest and penalties.
Sorry, Governor. That's page 25.
Yeah.
Page 25.
Yeah, it says 24 on mine.
Page 25?
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
The county government encountered disagreements with the pension schemes regarding interest and penalties, where the penalties were multiple times higher than the principal amounts. The county continues to engage with the relevant authorities to resolve this dispute in a fair and compliant manner. Steps taken, the county government has already cleared, as part of the statutory liabilities, Kenya shillings 109,167,057 due to KRA, and also 7.6 million for NSF contributions will be paid in the next month. Chair, let me explain this a bit.
Yeah, because I want us to deal with this matter comprehensively, beyond your written response.
Yes. Chair, all this, first of all, relates to the period 18 to 2022.
Even though the auditor says from 2014, 2015, when you are the first governor of Wajir.
If there's any amount relating to that, I want it to
But just proceed. Just proceed, yeah.
These payables relate to 25 months of pensions and gratuities not paid under the period 18 to 22. And it's with LAP Trust and LAP Fund. Now, what both schemes did, and it's part of the disagreement we had, they waited to just before the elections to go to court. They allowed the previous regime to get away with it, and just went to court just before. And so by the time we came in, the matter was in court. We agreed on a few things. We agreed, number one, that we will pay our current statutory reductions on time. And they can confirm, we can confirm here through the auditors to Senate that we're up to date with respect to the current period. As for the previous period, we have been trying to agree on an out-of-court settlement because these are just the principal sums. When you add the penalties and interests, the figures being asked for are actually double, if not more, than this figure. And given also that we have a huge pending bill to the public, it's become a bit hard to create space in our budget to deal with this at one time. Chair, I'm hoping we've advanced quite a lot with CPF, that we'll have an agreement with them in the next 2 weeks, which includes some waiver of some of the penalties, so that then, even as we speak now, I think we have about 70 million shillings that we budgeted for this year to reach this amount before 30th of June. And then next year we'll provide a bit more. But Chair, to contextualize this, all this money was actually released by the Controller of Budget, and it was deducted from the employees, but never remitted. I do understand that government is in perpetuity, but the financial architecture of counties is such that money is released monthly. So when the money released in a given month is not appropriated for what it was released for, then it constitutes a crisis on the system. When it's not done for 24 months, for 25 months, then it creates a hole. And this is why we've had discussions with Treasury at CS level, together with the pension schemes, because it's not a problem only for us. And I keep reminding even governors as COG chair that this should be happening on our watch now, if there's any governor that's doing this on our watch now. To deal with this historical, because it might not be possible to absorb this in one fiscal, to come with an arrangement where Treasury gives some bonds, for instance, to these pension schemes, especially the ones that can't, for instance, give assets. Nairobi might be able to give land, for instance, which is valuable. Mombasa might be able to give land. And then that is amortized over time from the equitable share. Because it's impossible for me to pay $1.5 billion or $1.6 billion in statutory payables only within my term. Because I'm already struggling with my payroll costs. We're opening up new hospitals, we're recruiting new people. The increase in equitable share, you understand what it is. So especially for counties that do not generate a lot of on-source revenue, once a hole like this is created, there's a problem. And so, Chair, I am ready for any advice on this, but this is my situation with respect to this.
Yeah, I think the reason why I've given you time is that this is a conversation we have had, I think we have had it in a formal sitting, and we have also had it informally. And we have agreed that there needs to be very special focus on this matter. Because if the control of budget, and Gashanja, you'll advise us, had already approved that expenditure and the money was released, will you approve it again?
No, it can't be approved.
So where will the money come from? That's a crisis now.
Chair, the challenge I have with that argument is, then that argument can also be applied to my other physical pending bills, because all those were released by the controller, but just applied in other ways. So I have a classroom belt, someone given an LSO, kids in the classroom, money already released, but that person not paid, and I didn't inherit money.
Chair.
Okay.
So let me ask this question again.
Senator Maruma, then Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Chair. Are you saying that for the existing pending bills, there are projects whose money were released by the control of budget, but that money was voided and paid for other things? Is that what you're saying, number one? Number two, we need to know, maybe exactly, especially for example, employer contribution to staff pensions scheme, 535,904,297. This is principal plus interest. What is the principal? Is it possible to get that information? What is the principal? Number three, Chair, these are employees, whether they were working between 17 and 22, when you're not governor, their money was released. When they retire, when they go for their pensions, they need their pensions. They will not understand that they were not working, or their money was released but not released to the pension scheme. So are you saying that there's nothing you can do? And if this money was paid for something different, what steps have you done to make sure that those who did that are brought to book because we run governments in perpetuity.
Okay, good one. Those three, please take note. Senator Sifuna.
I think, Chair, for me, the problem is the time that it has taken to have these conversations. Governor, you are in your final year of your term, and we have your colleagues who have come here and sat there. They are very junior members of the COG, let alone chairman. But they concluded agreements with CPF years ago, where they waived the penalties and some of the interest, and they agreed on a payment schedule where they're paying monthly or annually. So my disappointment in you, especially as the chair of COG, is that you have people within the COG who have done these agreements, and I believe that conversation is the same. And maybe these are the issues that the COG should take leadership on, not these other things that we see you giving directions to governors. So for me, Governor Mutula was here, and he had a document they have signed, and it should be a template for all the 47 counties. The stories you have told us, unfortunately, are unsupported. And Governor, you have referred us back to that contentious document of yours. My concern is this. You have 113 million in unpaid gratuity for your public servants. And this is a problem for us in the Senate because people who left the service may be retired. They have no time for these stories, especially if I was to share this schedule with them and see how much this hotel called the Grand Oasis. What is it, the name?
Grand Oasis.
Yes. Have you gone back to that schedule?
Yeah, Chair, it is a question of priorities.
Okay.
Yeah, there are people who do not prioritize Mwananchi. If somebody has retired and they are due gratuity, really those are the people who you should prioritize, and not catering services, accommodation, gifts, food and drinks from that schedule that I was referencing, which is almost 6 million shillings in tea and mandazi. And you have people who have retired there. They have nothing to eat. So, Governor, it's also a question of priorities. I don't know why you have prioritized KRA because they can freeze your accounts. I suspect that's the reason. But these, yes, these ones looking for their gratuity. Where can they find you, Governor?
And you see,
okay.
The governor is confessing that the accounts were frozen, and he should prioritize them. Now, these are the guys who have nothing against you. They have no leverage. I mean,
Fine. I believe this is a matter that is important not just for Wajir. So we'll do specific cases, but also try to look for a global solution.
Chair,
Senator Cherargei.
Annex 6. Governor, what did you want to prove with this Annex 6? Because I can see there was a principal amount of 47 million, then there was total accrued interest of 14 million. That was on 10 June 2025. I think it is a payment of 458 million, 137,709.7. That is Annex 6. So is it when the OAG queried about 732 million, 615,329 shillings, is this part of it or it is different? Is 458 trying to offset the 732, or what is the place of this Annex 6 that you are trying to tell us you have paid with the issue of bluff fund? Can we get that distinction, or you are just, and to emphasize, secondly, finally, Chair, is that I thought this issue of statutory deductions, be it KRA, I think, Chair, we had a conversation where we were arguing that if there is late exchequer releases, they should not be penalized by KRA. And I don't know, as the COG chair, you have had conversation with KRA saying that since there are late exchequer releases, then counties should not and must not be punished over KRA tax penalties. I don't know, as governors, as a governor of Wajir, have you, or was as a COG, have ever sat and agree, because it is unfair that counties get late exchequer releases, then they are penalized KRA. So I think, Chair, Governor, if that one has not been on COG agenda, you can put it next time over our names. I think that would be better. I yield back, Chair.
Okay, and Governor, as you respond, I think there's been some conversation that payroll processing, and particularly statutory deductions, be done at the national level. I think there's some conversation about that. And as a Senate, we are concerned that the minute you hand over your payroll to the national government, you have handed over the counties back. But it was for situations like this, where approvals are granted, money is deducted but not remitted. You might also want to comment on that, but start with the issues raised by Senator Maruma.
Senator Maruma, the 732 is the principal sum. It doesn't include interest and penalties. So whether for gratuity or the 7.6 for NSSF, and that one I think is being paid now. And this is all for basic, what do you call, principal sums. Number one. Number two.
Sorry, Governor, is that a fact? Because you've got Appendix 6 here, where the principal is far much lower. So do we take that the 732 is principal without interest?
Appendix what?
This one, this figure is for only this general all of them. This annexes is only for lab fund.
And
so the 732 is principal without
for everyone, both lab fund and
without interest.
Without interest.
Okay.
And that's where I'm headed, because Senator Cherargei asked, what am I trying to prove with that schedule, which has the 47 million and the 410. Senator, it's part of the negotiations we're having, which we can't seem to agree on, because the principal sum, for instance, for lab fund was 47 million, but the interest they were asking for is 410 million. And this matter went to court, and we're in court, and we're saying, for us to be able to prioritize the principal sum, because this was something that was mismanaged, and they also didn't do their part to follow and seek for payments or court process on time, we can't be able to find that money all at one go. That's the point I was trying to make.
Governor, Governor,
can I just finish?
No, on that point before you get out of it, because it's a conversation we have had. LAP Fund is right to demand an interest, because that interest is a return on investment on the pensioners. Yeah. So it looks very big, very awkward, but the pensioners also expecting a return on investment on their contributions. So right. you argue against it, then you're arguing against the benefits of your staff. That's a point I wanted to make.
It's a catch-22, Chair, because this money, the controller also has just said that he's not going to approve. And by the way, there are even instances where someone was very ill or something and we tried to pay, and the controller said, no, this was released before, I'm not releasing this money again. So that's where we are, and this is why we're trying to, probably with Senate's help, because there are counties that can absorb big amounts like this. There are others where it will distort everything. And if everything worked, from audit to the system and everything, at that time would be in this situation. I don't want to go there, but this is the reality. What have you done? We agreed, first of all, that we pay on time. We are among the best payers as of today. As for this other matter, we are still negotiating. As I said, even this fiscal year, we have some little money, but we have not reached an agreement on the way forward. We are also engaging on the question of Treasury being able to pay them upfront and try to see if that can be amortized over equitable share for a longer period. So I think I have answered, unless there's a particular question that... so as to the question Senator Sifuna asked, maybe their negotiations were easier. I don't know what their numbers were and for how long, because in my case, we've dug a hole for 25 months. Yeah, so probably if it was less, it's easier to deal with. And probably also they don't have these other huge pending bills on assets verifiable and in use. But I think the contention of the controller, that the controller is not going to release it twice, shouldn't really be there, because they are asking us to pay for the physical assets, and even that was also released and misapplied. So
I think where there was a release, there should not be a further approval.
Governor, can you clarify to me if there's ever been an engagement at COG level with the Love Fund?
yes, we continue to engage. And even I think at the beginning of this month, we have another engagement, I think around the 29th with the Lab Fund. We've just had an engagement with CPF where we met in Kwale, discussing this among other things. There are also issues on their side, Chair, which I shouldn't bring, extraneous issues which I shouldn't bring here. Much as the interest they're asking is high, in this country also there's no law on minimum return to employees. So sometimes also, even in the fund's investment, what the employee gets is very small, much smaller than even the penalty interest. So
Because of unremitted contributions. Because you only invest what you have.
You cannot fault the employees themselves, Governor.
yeah, not the employees, I'm saying the schemes.
The funds.
The funds. In other countries also.
Yeah,
So I think, Chair, on this one, I mean, much as I'm in this situation, I am a believer that you cannot deduct somebody's money and not